Hey, did you know that VTScada can be a Modbus server? If you'd like to read application information from VTScada as if it were a Modbus device, then here's how you can do it. So in front of me, I've got a little weather station application, and you can see today we're reading the wind speed and we're taking some statistics on that. So it's kind of a windy day where I am, so this is why I decided to pick on the wind today. Now, in the VTScada application, it's pretty easy to do this. You can see that we can just go into the tag browser here, and inside my cities here, I've got a driver down, and in my wind speed, we've got our wind information. But something that we might not be reading is some of the analytics. So let's say we wanted to share the maximum wind today with another tool that wants to be reading Modbus information. The simple way to do that will be to go up to our top menu here, and we're just going to create a new container for the information. So we'll call this for a virtual Modbus, and we can just jump into that. And inside here, let's add our port. Now this is a really important part of the configuration. So we're gonna do this Modbus TCP/IP and go V. So the virtual Modbus port. And in the connection here, we're gonna leave this empty on the IP address. And here, we're going to put in a port number 502, which would be the standard for a Modbus device. You can pick anything here. 502 is just, like I say, pretty standard. And that's basically all we need to do there. And now we're going to create a new child of that. And this time we're going to go down to the drivers, and we're going to grab the Modbus compatible device. And here we're going to go virtual Modbus driver, and let's go down to the communication. So we're going to have our port here. Actually, we need to jump over to the options, make that open Modbus TCP. We'll have our port automatically connected because that is the parent tag. And we'll go down to virtual IO, and we'll just put in 100 addresses in each of these. So, and what this is going to do is it's going to set up basically 100 addresses in each of these ranges to allow us to put in our virtual Modbus. So we'll apply that, say OK. And now inside of here, let's create a new tag. In this case, we're going to go down to the IO and calculations. Now, so we're creating a new IO and calculation property. It's going to be an analog, and let's turn it into a calculation because we're going to drive it from an existing tag. So we'll go into the calculation here, and we will set that to a tag value. And let's go back into our city API. We'll grab our wind speed, the daily analysis. And inside here, we're going to grab the maximum for today. So we'll select that. Okay, and we're going to, we'll just say sync to send it to the different servers. We're going to send it out to the address, and we're going to put it in 40,001. And because this is a decimal number, to avoid sort of doing it much scaling or anything with this value, we're just going to go slash float. We'll apply that and say OK. And just to see those numbers a little bit easier in the display here, I'm going to actually bump up the units there so we see it closer to how we were expecting. So if we jump back into our Modbus device, you can see here that because we didn't put in the IP address, it's set up as a listener on port 502. And our driver, we've got address and value. So let's try to connect using a different application. Okay, so we just jumped over to another server, and we're going to bring that information into this device. So let's draw the wind speed on here. So first up, we're going to open the tag browser, and then we'll go new, and let's create a new context tag here. So we'll create a new tag called the weather station, and we'll go OK, and let's create a new child. And in that child, we're going to go down to our ports. We said we do TCP/IP, and we go Modbus port. So this is going to be 192.168.1.127.502. So we'll apply that. Okay, now that we have our Modbus driver, we're going to go in here and we're going to create a new child, and we're going to put in an IO and calculation tag. And you can find that just in the analogs here. Go IO and calc, and we'll call this max wind. And if we go over to the IO, mine's already going to have it here because I wrote this in earlier. But actually what we want to do is have a 40,001 / float. And if we jump over to the scaling, we can leave this basically the same as what it is because it's already scaled data. We're bringing in floating point number, and on the display range, maybe we'll go between 0 and say 50 here. In the quality here, we don't need questionable data. The logging, we're going to go to the historian with this. In the alarms, we won't set anything up for now. And in display, big thing, we want to kind of keep those units after the decimal there, and meters per second is what we want in our units. So I've already got that from the last tag that I had set up in this system. And so we'll apply that. We can click OK. Now we're seeing the number come in. So the maximum that we've seen is 10.00. So we right click and we can draw that on the screen here. Okay, so I'm just bringing in the palette here. So if we want to, we can draw this right like this, and we will then close that and start placing this. So you can see here we've got our max, our units, our scaling, everything basically right here. Maybe not the prettiest gauge for this, but there we go. So hopefully you found that helpful. That's how to make a VTScada application appear as a Modbus server.